Konnichiwa. That's the way they say hello in Japanese. Today we're going to be reading Singing Shijimi Clams. It's from Japan. We live here in the United States of America, but Japan is way over here in the Pacific Ocean. Let's get started. Once upon a time, there lived a witch. When she was younger, she was a mean and feisty witch, and she had liked nothing better than making fun of people and picking fights. But now, perhaps because she was older and her sparks were gone, and she was simply miserable. One day, the witch brought home some clams for her dinner. She put the clams in a bowl with water to soak. She was preparing some bonito flakes for the broth, but she heard a strange noise. When she looked into the bowl, she saw that the clams were asleep and snoring. Their shells were open slightly, and their little bodies moved contentedly. The witch began to think it might be a bit cruel to eat the Shijimi clams. After all, they were sleeping so peacefully, but her cat, Tahari, said, "They're just clams. We shouldn't feel sorry for them," and she agreed. The broth began to boil, and the thought of miso soup made with clams was enough to make the witch's mouth water. But when she looked into the bowl, the clams were still sleeping, still snoring, and still moving contentedly. "They won't feel anything if you put them in the water," said Tahari. "You're right. I must be going soft with my old age. Imagine feeling sorry for a bunch of clams." She poured the clams into a colander to drain. They shut their shells quickly and looked as if they might wake up, but settled themselves and began to snore once more. It was a little upsetting. "Maybe we should eat the clams tomorrow night instead. There's nothing wrong with miso soup without Shijimi clams, is there?" she asked Tahari. Tahari looked away, fed up with the whole business. The next evening, the witch began to make another pot of miso soup, but the Shijimi clams were still sleeping peacefully. "Don't even think about it," said Tahari with a fierce and hungry look on his face. You're right," said the witch, chopping spring onions. "They're only clams." But just as she was about to pour them into the boiling broth, she stopped. She couldn't do it. "Give them to me," snapped Tahari. "I'll do it." Once Tahari looked at the peaceful, sleeping clams, he couldn't do it either. "What's the matter with us?" growled Tahari with frustration. "Plain miso soup tonight," replied the witch. That night, as the witch lay in bed, she heard a noise. It sounded like lots of little voices, like lots of tiny little bubbles. Tahari came in to complain about the Shijimi clams had woken him up. When they went into the kitchen and looked at the bowl, they saw that the clams were wide awake and talking. "I would like to ask you something, please." The largest of the clams was speaking to the witch. "Can you tell me where we are? Is it the sea? Is it a river?" "It's my house," answered the witch, and all the Shijimi clams burst into tears. "They must have been taken away while they were sleeping," whispered Tahari. "That's why it's such a shock." The clams wouldn't stop crying. "Please don't cry, my dears," said the witch. "We will take you home." "Wait," said Tahari in an urgent whisper. "It's easy to say, but how? How are we going to take them home?" The witch used to be able to go anywhere on her broomstick, but had become old and ragged and didn't work anymore. "What about the train?" asked the witch. "The train? There must be at least 100 clams. How are we going to pay for the tickets?" Tahari was sounding exasperated. It was true, the witch did not have much money. "We should have eaten them the first night," said Tahari, and the clams cried harder. "Don't cry, my dears," said the witch. "He's a kind cat, really. Take no notice. We'll raise the money to get you home." Tahari and the witch made a large sign and stood on the street ready to collect money for the Shijimi clams. They stood for hours. They did not collect a single coin. The witch was completely exhausted. "Please don't be sad," cried the clams. "We'll sing for you." And they began to sing with pretty little voices like tiny popping bubbles. People walked by, stopped, and listened. When they heard the Shijimi clams singing, people forgot all about their worries. Their faces brightened, and a wonderful feeling came over them. By the time it began to get dark, the Shijimi clams earned a lot of money. Every day, as soon as the Shijimi clams started to sing, people gathered and listened to their song. And every day, as the witch listened to the Shijimi clams' sweet voices, she too began to feel much happier and less miserable. Even Tahari seemed more content. Then one evening, after about a month of singing and collecting, Tahari announced that they had enough money to buy all of the train tickets. The Shijimi clams were so happy. That night, while the witch lay in bed, unable to sleep, Tahari snuck quietly into her room. "I'll miss them when they go," he admitted. At the station the next morning, Tahari paid for the tickets, and they all got on the train. The witch put the bowl by the window so the clams could see out too. It was the first time that any of them, the witch, Tahari, or even the Shijimi clams, had ever been on a train. Before long, a wide expanse of sea with a big river flowing into it came into view. When they arrived at the beach, the tide was out. Here we are, said the witch. She took the clams from the bowl and placed them on the sand. The waves will soon come and take you home. The Shijimi clams gazed up silently. They were too emotional to say thank you or goodbye. The smallest clam finally said, Miss Witch, to hurry, why don't you stay here with us? Then we can sing for you every day. Yes, yes, chorused the other clams. The witch was quiet. What do you think? She asked, turning to Terari. He was looking into his purse and frowning. He shook the empty purse and looked up at the witch with a worried expression. Forgot about return tickets, Terari said. We don't have any way to get home. I don't think we have a choice. We'll have to stay here. Hurrah! Shouted the clams. And so, the witch and Terari remained at the beach. They lived happily ever after, surrounded by the pretty voices of the clams, the gentle sound of the waves, and the warmth of the sun. Thanks for listening to another Storytime with Caleb. Sayonara. Goodbye.